What's going on, citizens of the Dark Knight Nation, and welcome to Comics Insider. This week we'll be breaking down, discussing, and analyzing the next Batman number 2 by John Ridley, Laura Braga, and Arif Prianto. This is, in fact, a follow-up to our analysis on the first issue. So if you haven't seen that one already, as a primer, I really recommend you click the link up on the screen right now and go check that out for yourself. Before we get into this one, I want to encourage you guys to please hit the like button down below if you end up enjoying it, subscribing to the channel for more content like this, and sharing the video. If you enjoy content, it is one of the easiest ways to do us small guys a really big favor by exposing what we do to a broader audience, and therefore I'll be able to do more for you with said audience. So do me a solid and do that. If you enjoy what I have to say about the comic books and you think, maybe it'd be cool if this guy wrote a comic book, well, I did. Please feel free to check out the link in the description below. Pick up a copy of Area 51, the Helix Project. It is my sci-fi noir comic book series, and we're just about ready to launch the second issue's Kickstarter. But if you want to get a sense of it, takes place in a 1970s UFO hysteric America with the Cold War looming overhead. It plays with government conspiracies, themes of mental health, identity, and very sort of relatable topics like that. But there's a really cool sci-fi spin on the super soldier trope that I think you guys will really enjoy. So if you want more information, click the link in the description below to DarkKnightNation.com to pick up a copy or two for yourself. And if you want to read it with that sweet guided view, we also have it live on Comixology as well. If you happen to do that, please leave it 5 stars. It is a big help. Otherwise, we got cool swag like this Area 51, the Helix Project hoodie, and much more. So consider giving it a look. And I want to let you guys know that we will have an opportunity for you to win a free physical copy of the next Batman number 2. So if you want to figure out how to win, you can start by liking the video, subscribing, and commenting, letting me know your thoughts, and we'll get into that at the end of the video so that you can learn how you can win the copy for yourself. But with all that out of the way, let's just get into it. Ridley & Co.'s The Next Batman number 2 opens with the Dark Knight of Future State combing over the corpse of a murder victim, a product of blunt force trauma. With his wallet, watch, and possessions remaining intact and blood still pooling below the wounds, the killer's motives have now been brought into question. Since the police have yet to arrive on the scene, it's only a matter of time before they do, so Batman must make haste in his search for answers. Spotting a nearby security camera, he rushes inside the nearby store in order to recover its footage. Also, whose insurance is covering this?
When only the small business gets real, Progressive helps protect what you built with customizable coverage. Donnie, no.
Anyways, with time dwindling, Batman breaks down the door to the store's office and plays the video of 2 assailants mercilessly beating down the victim. Untrained, yet brutal, and sporting facial recognition deterrent polygon masks, the case becomes more clear. It seems that our Dark Knight miscalculated his time, though, because in just half the time he'd predicted, the magistrate foot soldiers have arrived just outside the door. As he launches in to act as predator over prey, he reminds himself that they're just doing their jobs, but that won't stop him from doing his. After throwing a series of kicks, fists, and elbows, Batman makes a frantic break for it, crashing onto the street. Facing down another swarm of magistrate goons, Batman unleashes a flurry of batarangs that look as if they miss every single one of their targets, which is a definite downfall of the blocking of the art. However, the internal monologue leads us to believe that they're merely rendered ineffective against the troops' body armor, which one might have been able to discern just by looking at them. But hey, I'm not the tactician here. With no other options than to kick some ass or run, Batman runs in a straight line with maybe 10 feet between him and the highly armed militia. Unsurprisingly, the Dark Knight takes a bullet before finally realizing that he has tactical weapons and fires off a flash grenade before disappearing into the nearby shadows. Gee, that might have come in handy before getting shot.
Ambulance! Where the ambulance? Why the man body still right there? Ain't supposed to be laying there. Ambulance!
Out of the shadows, Batman rockets by on his motorcycle. The magistrate's drones close behind. Elsewhere in Gotham, Tanya, the matriarch of the Fox family, meets with Mayor Nakano to strategize a more effective legal means to run the vigilantes out of Gotham, especially after what's happened to her daughter. The scene more or less serves to deliver some exposition on the threat posed by the magistrate, build some light suspense on the state of the youngest Fox sibling, which we saw the beginning of in the last issue, which again you can watch clicking the link on the top right hand corner of the screen, and it better establishes the story's central antagonists. We cut back over to the new Batman stowed away in a fright container, licking wounds from his defeat against the magistrate's foot soldiers. The pity party is cut short by his man in the chair relaying the location of the Murder Vic's killers. Back at the scene of the crime, a nameless magistrate captain gathers intel from one of his foot soldiers. Somehow, Batman tore through them like nothing, somewhere between getting shot and running away. But before things start making less sense, GCPD Detective Chubb makes her appearance. She expresses nothing short of distaste for the captain, scorning him for his inhuman disregard for the life of the victim and his singular focus on bagging masked vigilantes. Intercepting Jace's communication with the man in the chair, the captain takes note, and we cut to Batman making a move on his two perps and dispatches them with ease. Before he can land a more decisive blow, though, the smaller of the two unveils herself, begging the Cape Crusader to stop. The two come clean for their crime, claiming that the Vic, Drashevsky, lured their daughter into meeting online before she disappeared. Believing their daughter to be dead, vengeance seemed to be their only option. Internally, Jace struggles with the moral balancing act to decide whether Lou Drashevsky deserved such a brutal demise. However, the internal crisis of conscience is cut short by the arrival of the magistrate. So John Ridley delivers another fairly meh issue of the next Batman.
Another one.
We finally unravel a bit of the plot here, but it feels rather small and unimpactful, and he gets better about using internal monologue as an effective tool to sort of reveal more emotional, psychological, and sort of contextual elements about Jace Fox, the new Batman, but there are also moments where he just throws it in scenes or throws excess in scenes, and it just feels sometimes like it's there to be there and fill up space, as if he didn't trust his artist to convey some of that extra emotion through expressionism, gestures, and various forms of character acting. There's also a sort of thematic inconsistency I'm noticing in the series overall. You know, I did comment on how the first issue was fairly thin in the way that it handles its theme, and this issue is no exception. There's obviously the sort of balance of justice that Jace Fox has to act out in his head towards the end of the issue, and there's also, you know, this potentially thin commentary on the police quota mentality, but even then it's kind of unclear because the only actual police detective in the issue identifies the inhumanity of the numbers game. So how much are we really getting across here? What are we saying? Where's the relatability? Well, there's not too much here. And even the sort of building of suspense and stakes are fairly low because, frankly, he kind of writes Jace as a bit of an idiot. I mean, him taking over the role as Batman feels super half-baked, and it's mostly because of the way this character responds to things. You look at his encounter with the magistrate in this issue, and his first response when he encounters the second wave of the militia, mind you, fully armed, fully automated with rifles, is to run away with like less than 10 feet in between them, and 5 seconds later, he decides to throw a flashbang after getting shot. First of all, why are we not doing that sooner? Why was the first response to throw a bunch of batarangs when clearly they didn't do anything? I mean, I know he needs a little bit of on-the-job training, but he just comes off as really incompetent, to be honest with you. There are things that I'm thinking about, and I'm not usually like the tactical type, so I feel like if I'm picking those things out, you got a problem there. There's also an inconsistent thing with how competent the magistrate's drones and cybers are. Like, I know the drones were tracking him in this issue by his phone, and he throws his phone out, but like he drives right under them and is somehow able to escape. Sounds real top of the line, real deadly, and a lot like some plot convenience. These drones are literally referred to as killer throughout the course of some of these other Future State books. Like, they are going to the ends of the earth to track these mass vigilantes down. So it's just an inconsistency here. Now, there are some improvements in the dialogue in this issue, which was one of the biggest disappointments for me in the last one, because John Ridley's a world-class screenwriter, and, well, dialogue should be something that is relatively his bread and butter. Even then, though, this dialogue doesn't feel like it's being written by a world-class screenwriter. In fact, it doesn't seem super impactful at all. It's not really conveying or pushing me to feel a certain way in any of these moments, or to identify, I think, these more emotional linchpins that I probably should be feeling, and where I feel like this issue is actually a downgrade from the prior is the pacing. It kind of drags and wastes time re-expressing information that we've already been given. So, not a spectacular outing so far. Moving into the art, which is finished by Lauren Braga and broken down by Nick Darrington, the movement, like in the last issue, but maybe even slightly worse, feels very sort of static and disjointed, and especially in moments of action and action scenes, it almost completely loses the impact and the gravity of the moment. And on that, in those action scenes, the physical blocking ends up making Batman look kind of incompetent. Like, again, when he throws the batarangs, you pull up into that sort of medium close-up, none of the batarangs look like they hit anybody. And we are keyed into what's actually happening with them just being rendered ineffective by body armor through the internal monologue, which, if the art had gotten it done, that was a moment where we could have pulled back on the unnecessary narration and allowed the art to do work in the visual medium. Where I will give credit is that there's a better use of camera angles, shot composition, things like that compared to issue 1, and it's ironically broken down by Nick Darrington, so I wonder if it was Darrington making the improvements or if it was the influence of Laura Braga. And regarding the sort of makeup of the page and the composition of such, the layouts were simple but relatively effective at accomplishing what the shots needed, but even then I would say that they were sort of fine at best. Lastly, I don't normally make critiques on lettering, but the special effects lettering, the onomatopoeia and such, felt kind of uninspired. I don't know if he was just trying to match the artistic style here, but most of the time it came off as kind of awkward, especially again in that kind of pitiful action scene where Jace is running away from the magistrate and the gunfire is just like these pencil thin line fonts. So, overall, it's another 5 out of 10 for me. It's so sort of meh. I don't hate it, but almost nothing in this story is successful in the way that it should be. It's not evoking a feeling, emotion, reaction. I'm not even drawn to plot in any particular way. It just feels kind of uninspired, to be honest with you, and it's disappointing because, again, I really wanted John Ridley to deliver on this, but I just don't feel like he is, and neither is the art team as far as I'm concerned. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more content, and let me know down in the comments how you're feeling about John Ridley's outing on Batman. If you do all of those things, and we can hit 30 likes within the first 48 hours of this video posting, you will be entered in to win a free physical copy of the next Batman #2. I will send it to you personally, along with a free digital copy of my comic book Area 51, the Helix Project. So, again, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe if you end up enjoying. All of that's courtesy of AJ's Comics in Colchester, Connecticut. You can hit them up using links in the description below to their website. If you want to sign up for a comic book pull list, you get 10% off, and it scales upward in discount depending on the more that you buy, and that discount applies to anything in the store. If you happen to live overseas and you are in the United States military and you want to get it mailed to base, the shipping is still eligible to be free if your order is $100 or more, and that's across the entirety of the United States. So, with all of that out of the way, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video from Dark Knight Nation.